Hi, welcome to another episode of Cold Hearted Complaints. Today, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, the oh-so-holy holiday to celebrate St. Patrick, the man who drove the snakes out of Ireland with some good old-fashioned Jesus magic. Of course, snakes have never naturally lived on Ireland, ever, so not a very impressive miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. So thank you, St. Patrick. You've given us so much to be thankful for, I guess. Unless you love snakes, then you really don't have a lot to be thankful for, though he never actually did anything to snakes, so it's a very confusing holiday for snake handlers is what I'm saying. But hey, it gives people a chance to pretend that they're a little Irish too, by wearing green, having some shamrocks, and getting drunk until you make a public embarrassment of yourself. Now you may be asking yourself, hey, St. Patrick's Day already happened, and I know, I do. I'm actually really sick right now. I'm powering through though, guys. We're getting through this. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about a Disney Channel original movie that plagued the airwaves every single March. And as you probably guessed by reading the title for this video, it's called The Luck of the Irish. Now, Disney Channel Original Movies, or DCOMs for short, are cheaply made live-action TV movies that are just made really quickly and thrown at audiences as fast as they could take them. Disney Channel movies stick in the mind really well. They aren't really great movies, but they have staying power, and I'll give them credit for that. That's pretty impressive. The ones that I really remember are going to be Johnny Tsunami, Under Wraps, Motocrossed, Smart House is a big one. The 13th Year was something else, I'll tell you that. The Xenon Girl from the 21st Century movies, that trilogy of Zetus, Lapidus, OMGness, that's something I'm going to be talking about in this channel because zoom, 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 I can't get the stuff out of my mind. They're actually terrible and I love them, so we're going to be talking about them one of these days. My personal favorite DCOM, from what I remember, I haven't seen this in a few years, but it was Phantom of the Megaplex, which is like a Phantom of the Opera kind of in a movie house kind of thing. My experience with these movies and the majority of Disney Channel content is one of disdain, but I also watched it all constantly. It was the early stages of hate watching for me. I couldn't not watch them, right? But I didn't like watching them. But I kept watching them and I kept complaining about them, and really, it's the progenitor of what you have here today. These are all cheesy, bad movies, but god damn it if that does not fit perfectly for what this channel is. So guys, let's all come together and let's watch a Disney Channel original movie. We're gonna watch The Luck of the Irish. This is a 2001 DCOM about a normal everyday middle schooler named Kyle Johnson. Kyle is the star of the basketball team that he single-handedly sent to the playoffs. Literally. He literally used one hand to make the game-winning shot as he was falling to the ground. Kyle is the hero of the school, with everyone cheering his fluky shot. Look at everyone cheering and high-fiving him as he walks to class. Some say it was a lucky shot.
Dude, that was a lucky shot.
But Kyle is sure that luck had nothing to do with it.
Hey, luck's got nothing to do with it.
Spoiler alert, luck will have everything to do with it. Then Kyle shows off his moves as this kid waves around a boombox because that's what all the cool middle schoolers do. Oh yeah. This is how I jam, guys. Anyway, not everything is fun and games, as Kyle is having a crisis. There's a culture festival going on, and the organizer, Bonnie, has been grilling him for his family heritage, wanting to know more about him and where he comes from. The issue is that whenever he asks, his parents clam up and try to avoid the subject, only telling him that they've moved from Cleveland and that they're Americans.
We moved here from Cleveland.
We're Americans, Kyle. That's all the heritage we need.
We're Americans, Kyle. We don't need no heritage. We get another brief example after that of Kyle's incredible luck where he guesses every answer to a test correctly.
These answers are all correct.
Later that night, he's having dinner with his family, enjoying some delicious, you know, is he really all that lucky if his parents are gonna insist on serving him healthy meals? Like, what is this? This looks like a bastardization of spaghetti, like salad spaghetti, and I, for one, will not stand for it. During dinner, though, he tries to pry just a bit more into where they're from, with his mother calling him a very good boy.
You're a good student, a good boy, a great athlete.
A good boy that should stop asking goddamn questions. They tell him to stop worrying about it. Just be Kyle. This fails to satisfy Kyle's thirst for knowledge, so he decides to try to look up his father's heritage, which is unfortunate because his father has the most generic name of Robert Johnson, thus making it impossible to find anything of any use to anybody. And he doesn't really even know his mother's maiden name to go looking up stuff about her, so he goes snooping around his father's things, only to discover that his dad had an even more bland name, Robert Smith, the most common last name you can have in America. Around now is when I would like to bring up the poor visual quality of these movies. Now, I am more than aware that these are TV movies, and they cranked these out as fast as they possibly could. So expectations for camera quality, for lighting, for sets, for costumes, for acting, for any kind of quality control, those expectations have to be pushed down really, really, really low. Those are the main bits of making a movie, and they're all just so painfully mediocre, not just in The Luck of the Irish, but almost every single Disney Channel original movie, unless it was a special thing pushing a certain event like the Even Stevens movie, you would put extra effort into that because that's one of your big IPs. You got Shia LaBeouf in there, guys. But for the majority of these movies, they did not put nearly as much time and effort and money into making these look visually interesting. They just kind of look a lot like TV shows, again, pulled out over an hour and a half. Back to the story at hand, Kyle finding out about his father's name change is a confusing fact for him and answers exactly 0 of his questions. But the next day, he randomly stumbles upon a poster for an Irish festival and notices the symbol on it looks suspiciously similar to his lucky coin. So obviously, he and his friend go to check it out, where they meet a suspicious Irishman who has an obsession with shoes and perfectly flipping coins. No, yeah, that's normal. That's good. Then Kyle discovers during a step dancing performance that he just can't help awkwardly step dancing. Like, look at him go here. He's got the kicking, he's kicking, he's confused looking. He's literally just kicking his feet, and then they avoid showing him again because of how awful this looks. He gets tripped by some of the carnies who are just a tad too handsy, and then heads home. But the next day, Kyle notices something. Something's a bit off. He's clumsy, awkward, and just plain unlucky. That and his mother's acting just a bit weird, replacing her healthy meals with a more meat-heavy diet. She also just blurts out that she's Irish.
There's no use trying to hide it, Bobby. It's about me family, Kyle.
Hey, why don't we just go out and
We're
talk?
Irish.
She even develops an accent and starts to dress like she's back in the old country. And when the next basketball game comes around, Kyle is a complete hot mess. Like, he is not able to pass, shoot, dribble, play basketball at any level of competency. He gets pulled from the game and mocked as a loser by the school as his body starts changing. Kyle gets shorter, his ears get pointier, and for some reason, his hair starts to turn red. Kyle cannot figure out what is going on until he discovers that his lucky coin is a complete fake made of iron, which he discovers right in time to find his mother has shrunk down to about a foot tall and reveals their big secret. She's a leprechaun. She's a leprechaun, and his family coin gave their family good luck and helped them maintain their human form so they can pass as human. I don't know why Kyle turning into a leprechaun causes him to speak a very terrible Irish accent.
Oh, saints preserve us. I am getting shorter.
Or, for that matter, turns his hair red. Neither of those things make sense outside of Irish people talk funny and have red hair stereotypes. This is why they never told Kyle about his heritage. They wanted him to live a normal life, unburdened by the fact that he's a leprechaun, that he's different. They wanted him to be a normal human boy, which is admirable, except why don't you just tell him he's Irish then? Why does that matter? Now, when I was told by my family that I was part Irish, my gut reaction was not to go around asking everyone, hey, am I actually a secret leprechaun with a magical coin that grants all my family good luck, and also we can stay in human form as long as we have the coin? It was, hey, I'm Irish, that's kind of cool, sure. They also explained that this is the reason Kyle's father changed his last name from Smith to Johnson, because his mother's leprechaun family was not all too thrilled about her marrying a human outside of a leprechaun. I still don't understand why you have to change your last name from Smith. Smith is already the best cover name because it's the most generic last name you could possibly have in America. Also, why did they bother changing his name and running away? Did they expect some sort of Irish leprechaun mafia to come chasing after them to try to take her away? Or what were they exactly thinking was gonna happen here? Because after this, they go to visit Kyle's grandpa, Riley O'Reilly, because how do you know someone's Irish unless you give them the most Irish name you can think of? He just also happens to be the old man from the fair, who they suspect stole the coin, and he goes out of his way to avoid them. He just tosses them out of his potato chip factory that he recently opened up in town, completely uninterested in associating himself with his daughter. But luckily, Kyle's friend Bonnie is there with a school tour group that he blends in with and sneaks inside. They then have to duck, dodge, weave, and try to escape from the crack security team at the potato chip factory. because potato chip factories are notoriously known for their tight security. At the end of this almost exciting adventure, they run into Kyle's grandpa. There they discover that he didn't actually take the coin and that it must have been Seamus, the man who organized the Irish fair from earlier, whose goons tripped and secretly swapped out the necklace with a fake. Which, let's take a moment to flash back to that scene here. Okay, here we are. So where in this does someone slip his necklace off and put on a new one? Watch this scene.
Sorry, kid. Top of the morning to you.
How is it possible that they did that? You can see it on him the entire time. They didn't take it off of him, you can see it on him, and you would notice someone taking a necklace off of you. So this feels a bit weird, but hey, plot, whatever, don't think about it. Grandpa then goes and has a quick talk with Kyle's mom and gets a little less racist, finally accepting Robert as a family member, fairly quickly actually. Like, this was only a 2-minute conversation, and this was all what it took the entire time. They just had to have a 2-minute conversation like, oh, I have a good life. Oh, okay. Again, this interaction is incredibly important because this is the reason Kyle's family never told him about what his coin is, about who he is growing up. They changed his last name, they moved to a different town, they uprooted their entire life for this reason. And it's all resolved in a quick conversation and they just pretend it never happened. When they finally track down Seamus, they go on what is supposed to be a thrilling car chase, which is just kind of like two cars driving. It's almost exciting, I'll give it that. It ends super dramatically like most car chases where they just kind of get some soup thrown on them. Man, they even got some ska music in here. That's classic early 2000s. Blow out a tire. Then they get caught in the rain. This gives them time though to have a heart-to-heart about family and Irish oppression in America, which inspires them all to keep searching for the family coin, which after it stops raining, they find a rainbow and they go to the end of that rainbow. They break into the RV, steal back their coin, and confront Seamus, who captures Grandpa Leprechaun, so they make a bet. Seamus wins, he gets the coin. Kyle wins, he gets the grandpa. So they have a competition of classic Irish sports, like tossing a wheel, hitting a ball, hitting a different ball, and dancing. All right, this is pretty good. Let's see what Kyle can do. Oh man, look at Kyle go. Look, he's breakdancing. Oh man. This kid does not know anything about Irish culture. The games end in a tie because for some reason they played an even number of games. So to break the tie, they make another bet. This tiebreaker is gonna be they go to Kyle's championship basketball game, which is somehow taking place at the exact same time that they're doing this thing, so they just magic there. And Seamus and his minions disguise themselves as the enemy team, or do they take over their bodies?
Isn't he a little old for junior high?
No, that doesn't make any sense because everyone aware of the bet sees them as their normal selves. So where is the real basketball team? Like, there's a real team of middle schoolers who are not playing this game. Where are they? What, are they tied up in a basement somewhere? Basketball then continues to happen and it's very, gripping. Oh look, Grandpa Leprechaun is chained to a basketball hoop. There he is, watching the game. How's it going up there, buddy? Kyle then finds a way to build it up inside of himself to win without his lucky coin. He's able to end up beating a bunch of out-of-shape, middle-aged men and an angry leprechaun man to get back his family's magic, as well as banish Seamus to the shores of Cleveland because that was part of the bet for some reason. And everyone cheers! Kyle won the basketball championship! They're the champions even though the actual basketball team didn't actually play. Like, there's a real team here of kids who did not get to play their championship game because their bodies got hijacked by evil leprechauns. Like, doesn't that make the championship a hollow victory? Like Kyle doesn't earn this championship. He didn't play the real team, the team that made it there and struggled the entire year. Like, how crummy is that for the kids involved? They should have gotten a chance to play their game, but they don't. That's just evil. Afterwards, life returns to normal and Kyle joins the Heritage Festival by sloppily line dancing. This looks exactly like a middle schooler who saw someone line dance once and tried to do it himself. He even does it in a Cleveland Brown shirt to honor his father's grand heritage of being a guy who grew up in Cleveland and then moved away. Hey guys, did you hear the joke about Cleveland? He's from Cleveland, guys. Everyone loves Cleveland. Nobody actually loves Cleveland. I'm sorry, Cleveland. Everyone applauds Kyle for his embarrassingly poor performance, which I did get someone to back me up on this. I asked my friend Kaylee Yagkavi. She actually did Irish step dancing when she was younger, and I asked her, hey, could you look at this? This looks really bad. I'm pretty sure this is really bad. Is this actually really bad? Is this secretly in some way kind of good? Is some person on the internet gonna be like, well, actually, that's how you're supposed to Irish step dance? I was right. This is terrible. This is basic Irish step dancing, and he's horribly failing at it. He's really only on screen for like maybe 15 seconds Irish step dancing. So my main question with this is, how many takes of him Irish step dancing did they do? And how were these the good ones? And Kyle, once he's done, he talks about how he's learned so much about his heritage, how he learned to sloppily Irish step dance like everyone's an immigrant. Let's all sing "This Land Is Our Land" and be all patriotic about America, because America is the great experiment. Bunch of stuff happens, we're multicultural, all this stuff. Yay, America, we love America. It just ends on a very American message, which I thought was really weird, but hey, whatever, the end. Now that is the luck of the Irish, the leprechaun version of Teen Wolf. Now for you crazy kids, stop right there. I'm not talking about the MTV show Teen Wolf. I'm talking about the movie Teen Wolf.
God, Howard, this is your father speaking. Now open this door right this minute. An explanation is probably long overdue.
Dad, an explanation? Look at me.
It's the exact same story in both of these movies, except they toned down a lot of the elements of Teen Wolf, make it more child-friendly, way more child-friendly. They take it from a high school level to a middle school level, lower than middle school level for the most of the audience for this movie. That, and they add in a message a lot more about heritage and how you should respect your heritage, learn about your heritage, and care about where your family came from, which in itself is not a bad message, but it is a bit mixed when it comes to this movie because I don't feel like they actually respect Irish culture or Irish heritage at all. When you're trying to represent Irish culture, maybe lean off the Irish stereotypes. Maybe having his family own a potato chip factory is a bit weird. Having potatoes be a whole part of their identity at all seems a bit weird. They lean on Irish accents a lot. When he goes into leprechaun form, he has red hair for some reason. He starts to get red hair for whatever reason. I guess Irish people have to have red hair. They really rely on that accent a whole lot, and the main guy for it is not good at having an Irish accent. It's a very bad Irish accent. He's a very much a kid actor. Not good.
Oh, saints preserve us. I am getting shorter.
They try to give the idea of Irish culture to make an American kid thinking this is what Irish culture is actually about, when it's not really about that at all. That's just, you know, Disneyfied version of what Irish culture is. It's like This Is a Small World after all. We're gonna really Disneyfy this. This is walking through and seeing a brief little caricature of what an Irish person's like. Hey, this is their culture. They wear green and they have leprechauns and they have red hair and they talk in silly accents. They make their own shoes and stuff like that. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. That's what they do. That's how they represent Irish culture in this, which is not actually representative of what Irish culture is. So it feels like it's coming from both sides of the mouth. They want to have it one way and do the other. Like, they want to show, hey, this is what real Irish culture is, except we're not actually going to show you what Irish culture is. We're just going to shove in what you think Irish culture is until you just accept it. There is a lot of lip service, but there's very little weight to any of it. On the Irish scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a Lucky Charms commercial and 10 being Angela's Ashes, I'm going to give this about a 4. It is very reliant on stereotypes, what Irish people are, without actually leaning into Irish culture. The sports competition at the end does feel a bit more genuine, and I do appreciate that. That kind of bumps it up to a 5. That is mainly a lot of the Irishness in this movie. That and the Irish dancing, a bit the step dancing is... The actual professional step dancers in this movie are really good, and that gives a very good feel of what some parts of Irish culture are like. As a total feeling of what Irish culture is, they don't give a really good representation of it. It feels like just a bunch of lip service. The patriotism at the end of the film does feel really tacked on. Even as a kid, I felt like it wasn't appropriate. Like, why is everyone just getting up and singing, "This land is your land, this land is my land, we love America, let's sing about America"? I love my country, but that just feels weird. Don't know why they put it in there, but they did, and it's a part of the movie, and it feels like a really weird way to end it all, but you know what? Sure, whatever. Patriotism, let's go with it. The luck of the Irish is not the worst DCOM out there. It's not the best DCOM out there at all either. It is a complete ripoff of the movie Teen Wolf, which is interesting. It's blatantly ripping off Teen Wolf very clearly They just changed werewolf to leprechaun. It's the same story. It's the exact same story. It has a lot of that late 90s to early 2000s cheese to it. It's a really silly movie, and it tries to have a nice message about heritage, which I think falls a bit flat because it just does not feel genuine. You're just using stereotypes. But hey, it's a pretty fun movie that you can get a whole bunch of friends over, have a good time together, and just remember when people used to wear necklaces like this. That used to be considered cool. We allowed that to happen. Our society allowed this to happen. With all that though, I must end this video. It's gone too far. We've gone too long. There's nothing left to talk about. Thank you guys very much for coming out and watching this video. You have a nice day. I'll have a number of days that'll be nice, probably. Peace out.